good example. This is indirect speech diagram. It says, what did she say? What did she say? She said that she would get a haircut. That's indirect speech. You notice one thing about indirect speech, very striking. There is no quotation. In an indirect speech, there is no quotation. Why? Because you're reporting what someone had already said in your own way, but passing the same information. Information has not been changed, but what could change could be the point that you have to change certain words, but passing the same meaning. So it is possible that in the direct speech of what did she say? She said she would get a haircut, or I shall get a haircut. That is the direct speech. Now in the indirect speech, she said that she would get a haircut. All right, let's look at this sentence example. Let's look at this sentence example, very important. Now look at the direct speech. She says, I am a little bit nervous. I am a little bit nervous. Now let's not just position our minds on basically knowing how to change from direct to indirect, but we should as well note very important things, and that's the use of the punctuation marks. Very important, because in an exam or in writing, you could be asked to move from indirect to direct. If you're not conversant with noting the punctuation marks needed in direct speech, you could fail in that exam. So now let's look at this punctuation mark. You notice that after she says, which is the reporting statement, after she says, we have a comma showing a pause, a slight pause. Not she says, I am a bit nervous. No. There is the use of the punctuation marks depicts a whole lot of things and passes informations at every point in time. So the comma passes its own information. The full stop passes its own information, likewise the quotation marks. So when you read she says, there's always a pause. So have it at the back of your mind that even in your writings, whenever you point out she says, or he says, or they say, there should be a comma. Then immediately after the comma is your quotation mark. That's the open quotation. Once you have your open quotation, the first letter must start with a capital letter. The first letter must be written in capital, and that is I am a bit nervous. After you're done with your sentence, observe your period. The period is what we commonly call the full stop. Observe your period, then give your closed quotation to show that you're finally done with what you have to say. Now, in indirect speech of she says, I am a bit nervous. I'm a little bit nervous. We have, she says that. Remember when I was introducing the direct speech and we had a little diagram explaining that, I told us that when you have I, the first person pronoun, in a direct speech, once you are changing to indirect speech, you change it based on the reporting speech. If the subject of the reporting speech is she, that means in changing from direct to indirect, you change your I, that's the first person pronoun, I, to the third person pronoun that you have in your reporting speech. The subject of your reporting speech. Your reporting speech is she says. And what is the subject of she says? That is she. So if I had he here, while changing to indirect speech, I will change this I to he, not she. So I is likened to a male or a female once you want to change it to the indirect speech. Now the indirect speech says, she says that she is a little bit nervous. We are changing am to is because I'm reporting. So I have to report what has happened. I'm not the one undergoing whatever, but some other person is undergoing the process of being nervous. Yes. So because I'm not the one, I'm reporting what I heard, I will report she is. I'm not she. I can't say she am, or I can't say I am, because I am not the one experiencing.